Sit.
One for the money, you know what it is. Two for the show, yeah, we shut it down. Three just to make sure you ready. Four, let them know that we run this town. One for the money, you know what it is. Two for the show, yeah, we shut it down. Three just to make sure you ready. Four, let them know that we run this. Feeling good, yeah, I could taste it. I could tell that it's one of them days.
What's going on, everybody? Shane here, as you guys already know, seven-figure dog trainer syndicate. I've got a special guest today. He's actually not a member of the seven-figure dog trainer syndicate yet, but he is an already established seven-figure dog trainer business owner. And he's also a 9-year Army veteran out of Santa Barbara, California, Canine Solutions. Go ahead and tell us about your company.
Hey, Shane, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, even though I'm not a client.
Yeah.
So I started this business about 10 years ago with a business partner. Actually, well, that's not exactly true. I started out of my truck going house to house, and then eventually got so busy here in Santa Barbara. I mean, it's a small town. Back then it was about 80,000 people. Now it's about 100,000. But there was a huge need for what I do. And the business just built up pretty quickly and organically, and I'll get more into that in a minute. But found that I needed some help, so I got a business partner. And my strengths really lied in training the dogs and then training people how to train their dogs. My strengths didn't lie in the business end of things, like where you have a lot of strengths there. I wish I had more of it back then, because I probably would be better off now than I am.
Yeah, it's a journey.
So I brought in a business partner whose strengths did lie in running the business end of things, but I also taught him how to train dogs, and we grew this really great business together up until about 4 years ago, where we split. We had 2 locations. At a small location here in Santa Barbara, and then just east of us is a more rural area called Santa Ynez, and we had a ranch, 8,000 square foot facility and about 4 acres of land, and then a daycare and a boarding facility as well.
Wow.
So
Is that still an operation?
a big operation. Yeah, it's still in operation, and he's got that part of it, and actually that he got the headaches. I got the training end of things. So I was better off giving that end to him.
What are all the services you offer? Go ahead and let people know about that.
Right now, we're primarily a training facility, but what's nice and what's gotten me to where I am now is that we have different types of training for different classes of dogs and people, and we generate different little revenue streams out of each separate type of training that we offer.
Very cool. So you do obedience, you do behavior modification, stuff like that, aggressive dogs, dog on human aggression cases.
That's our bread and butter. That's where I started.
Yeah.
And I've trained my trainers to deal with dogs like that. But we do everything from, human aggression, dog on dog aggression, all the way up to training puppies and basic obedience.
You guys do any protection work, sport, or anything like that?
I don't do any of that anymore. No, that's kind of where I started when I was in the military, and learned how to do that, but I don't do any of that. I miss it.
Yeah. Do you guys do any like service dog stuff for like behavioral tasks or anything like that?
We do. We certify therapy dogs.
Yeah.
I have some trainers that teach tasks for service animals, but we don't certify service dogs. No.
Okay. Yeah, but you guys offer training and stuff is what I'm getting at.
Yes, we do.
And clients can come up there and have you guys work with their dogs that are, for different tasks. I'm sure you'll go over that. So yeah, man, super happy to have you on the show today, to interview you and learn about, your business and your history, man. It's about you. Like, I know you just touched on it. So, the first thing I ask everybody that comes on this show is their journey. You started in a truck. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I had an old 2001 Toyota 4Runner.
Yeah.
I would just go to people's homes and sometimes have their dogs at my home for day trains. But basically that's what I did, went house to house for a long time.
Wow, man. So what were you doing? Were you doing dog training full time when you were in that vehicle, or were you
That's
doing
all I,
side hustle, or was this like post getting out of the army, or tell me more?
no, that's all I did. I remember when like I hit that $10,000 a month mark.
Yeah.
I was so stoked. I was like, 10 grand for the month. That's friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
And now if I don't hit 100 in a month, I'm depressed.
Yeah. That's that. I think that's some of the stuff that the military, instilled in us, is to like keep working towards another goal. As soon as the goal is accomplished, you have to set your sights on the next mission and the next mission. And it's like, some people would say it's not a healthy mindset, but like, that's who we are, that's what we've been created into, probably,
Absolutely.
I'm exactly the same way. And it's like, if I'm not under pressure, I'm kind of under stress. Like I need to have things that I'm working towards, and it sounds like you're the same type of man.
Well, I think we've been trained to think that way, right?
Yeah.
From being in the service. So yeah, always, adapt and overcome. That's what we were always taught, adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I get to a certain point and then I get what's next. And then I see what it takes to get there. And do I fail? Absolutely. But I don't really look at it as failure. I look at it as, okay, this is a learning experience. What worked, what didn't. I still need to get there. It doesn't mean that I'm going to forego what my goal is, but I still need to get there. So I take the best of what I learned and I just move forward. And it's amazing that's when the doors really start to open, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm on the same page as you. So do you have any like significant milestones or turning points that have shaped your career or personal development?
Wow, that's a good question. There's so many. I think for this business in itself, just having to go off on my own, because that was a really scary proposition.
Yeah.
When I split up with my business partner, that meant I had to do everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was primarily just training dogs and people. So I had to learn how to run a business, and I didn't really have a whole lot of experience doing that.
Yeah. So you were bringing in 10 G's a month, just driving to people's homes.
Yeah.
Do you think that's at the higher end of the achievable income earning at running a business that way? Or do you like how hard were you grinding to bring in 10 grand a month just to go into people's homes?
To be quite honest with you, I was probably seeing 4 clients a day and
Mhm.
training 2 dogs outside of those clients, like for day train or board and train. So not too bad. I always try to pace myself. I don't want to burn out of this business like so many people do.
Yeah.
Um,
Burnout's a real thing, man.
it's huge. It's huge. So I think I maxed out on my own between 30 and 40 a month. When I hit that number, I was like, Jesus Christ, what else can I do?
Yeah.
But that was with me and my partner in our truck. No, we bought a van by that point. Sorry, we had a van.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so I'm tracking. So you were originally by yourself doing all the work yourself.
Yeah.
And you brought on a helper or partner. Yeah. And was this person somebody that you had to train, or did you were they another like equal trainer that you guys just went into business together?
No, he was a general contractor.
Oh wow.
He got a puppy, and a mutual friend of ours introduced us because he was having problems with his puppy. So originally I met him to help him with his dog. And then at the time he was out of work. There was a lull in construction and he just didn't know what he wanted to do. So he just started hanging out with me and going to some clients sessions with me. And it's like, wow, this is really cool. I'd like to, maybe learn more about this. I said, yeah, you're welcome to shadow me. And one thing led to another and he became a pretty good trainer. So
Very
We
cool.
became partners.
Is he still your partner?
No,
Okay, so you have a
No,
different
we're
partner.
not.
You have a different partner now?
No, I'm by myself. I own it.
You own all the different locations and the name and everything, right?
I only have one location. Yeah, I own the name. Yeah. But we went from 1,000 square feet working together. We rented a little garage somewhere to now I have a 6,000 square foot facility with 3 floors of training.
Wow.
So
How many employees you got now?
11
That's awesome. That's awesome.
sometimes.
No, it's good that you scaled to that level, and I know you know the importance of success equating to building a team. You're
Mhm.
not gonna be successful as, I mean, everybody's, okay, let's rephrase it. You won't be as successful as you can unless you have a quality team behind you. So I'd love to hear any valuable input that you would have about team building or things that you need to do to attribute towards towards success in within a team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you couldn't have said it any better. In order to progress or get to, the point where we are, you cannot do this alone. It's impossible. I feel it's impossible.
Yeah.
You'll end up tapping out and burning out. Okay. So my first step was to build a good financial team behind me because I wanted to take that off my plate. So I got a really amazing bookkeeper and a really good accountant. And I think at the time, people would tell me that's an expense you don't need. You're a small business. You could do that on your own. But I felt like I was so stressed about it,
Mhm.
keeping the records of everything, that it wasn't worth my time stressing over, and I was willing to pay someone to do it. And I don't regret it one bit. I feel like as you're starting to grow and once you've outgrown yourself, those two positions are critical to growing your business. You need a good bookkeeper and you need a good accountant.
Absolutely, man.
They're going to keep you on track.
Yeah, I can't agree with that more. The first couple of years of my business, I think I was using like QuickBooks, the basic level of QuickBooks, doing it myself. And once I finally outsourced all that stuff, it was less stress on me, and it's being done correctly, and things can be done to your advantage with the way that like everything's categorized and deductions, like you may miss things yourself.
Oh my God.
I'm a dog trainer. I'm not a CPA.
Exactly. And the money they saved me paid for their service.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I literally, you talk about using QuickBooks, right? I'll tell you how old school I am. I'm 56 years old.
Okay.
All right. I handed my accountant 3 leather bound ledgers. I said, he goes, okay, where's your system? I said, here you go.
Yeah, they probably hate you for that.
Oh, he was like, holy crap. It's going to take me a couple of weeks to go through all this stuff. I said, well, go for it. I'll pay you.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to do. And then put it into the computer, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of how like backwards I was a little bit back then. But it was the only way that I knew to do it quickly. I didn't want to have to learn software just to keep track of things, So I just wrote everything down.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword now, man. If you don't stay up to date with software and things that can like improve your business, you're behind the curve. That's one of the things we give in the syndicate is our CRM platform that we give to all the businesses to integrate all their like social medias and stuff like that. And a lot of people are too lazy, or they just don't want to take the time to try to upgrade their business to the correct software that they need. They're doing it old school, they're doing it manually, and as you said, doing it manually kind of holds you back.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things I'm really starting to utilize now in my business, as far as software goes, is AI.
Oh yes, we talk about that too.
Oh man, it's been a game changer for me.
Yeah. You know what's scary, dude? If we get into like AI, the future of it, the people that jump on it and utilize it are going to be light years ahead. We already are.
Yeah, there's no touching them.
Yeah, I use it a lot. I mean, we used it on everything. We used it even on partial of the ebook creation on some parts of it, as well as just using it for captions on our social media reels and then it puts it out, and I'm getting way more interaction and things from the AI generated captions and stuff. It's wild. I'm glad you brought that up, man. Because if anybody's watching this, you know, you need to hop on the train and use an AI to your advantage. It's a powerful tool. It's a weapon you can pull out.
It's just beginning.
It is.
So get in now while it's still easy to assimilate, because otherwise.
You think AI is ever gonna take our jobs away from us as dog trainers?
No, I don't, because we need the human interaction. I'm sure there'll be some, of course, just like, social media has done, people can learn off of videos, but I can't tell you how many clients come to me who started on videos and could only get so far. And they're just like, I need someone to show me what to do.
Yeah. What years were you in the Army?
Oh my God. 1990 to 2000.
What was your job?
I was in artillery
Mhm.
for 6 years, and then I went National Guard, active. It's called AGR, Active Guard and Reserve.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a position for me in an artillery unit, so they stuck me in a military police unit.
Yep.
And I wasn't MOSQ'd, but I had experience with weapons, so they made me the armorer.
I did
And
that
part
too.
of my job was to take care of the dogs,
Yeah.
and that's how I learned.
Wow, small world, man. I was an armorer before I went canine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I did counting freaking guns and bullets all day, but it did have its perks because if I didn't like you, I'd make you block your ammo or clean your weapon at the end of the day. So I was this little low ranked, E3 telling E7s to go block their ammo because I thought the guy was a dick. So a small world, man. As I can call that parallel between us. I want to talk about your inspiration. Everybody's inspired by something. Hold on, we just got a notification that said I was signed out. We're still on, right?
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. So it says your inspiration. Who or what's been your greatest source of inspiration, and how have they impacted your approach to business or life?
I'd say initially it was my grandfather, because my family is very entrepreneurial driven.
Mhm.
And he told me since I was a little kid, he said two things to me that stuck, but one I didn't listen to. The first one he said to me was, partners are for dancing. And I didn't listen to. What does it mean? It means in business, it's best, don't necessarily get a business partner, get investors in your business, whether it's financial or using their knowledge to further yourself, and then get them to help you with your business. But to have to share your business with someone else, you better be on the same page and have each other's back, because that's what I learned the hard way, that we didn't, or he didn't have my back the way I needed him to, and it turned ugly.
That's what I hear a lot of, man. Like, just like they say, I don't want to, I'm gonna get the quote wrong, but I think it's 90% or something of businesses fail in their first year. But I bet like the statistics even higher for partnerships in business to fail. Because people don't get along. People butt heads. They don't have the same interests. They don't have the same goals, or and then everybody wants to feel valued more, or they're not getting something out of the company. But I've got a awesome partner, Chris, and I think we're just blessed that we're almost like two brothers born from different moms. Like we're identical on our drives and our passion to.
Right.
You got to have that to survive in business for sure.
I think if you do have a business partner and you have the same values and goals, right?
Yeah.
You'll go far. It's when your values don't line up, and that's what happened. So I don't blame him. I mean, I don't like the way he acted, but I don't blame him for doing what he did, because maybe my values didn't line up with his.
And everything happens for a reason, and people
is what
paths go where they need to go. So you started from a truck and you worked your way up to where you're at now, which is really just phenomenal because you're killing it. I know it hasn't been the easiest road. So tell me about some challenges that you faced from the beginning to your scale up,
Well, before I do that, can I just get back to the inspiration thing? Because there's
Yeah.
a couple of things I wanted to mention that I feel are really important for what we do.
Yeah, please.
I'm not just inspired to learn about dog training from other dog trainers, which is what I constantly tried to do when I was really actively training dogs. Now I'm training people more than I am dogs. I train other trainers,
Mhm.
and I train humans how to communicate better with their dogs and live with their dogs in a better way. So I was learning when I was really into training dogs. I was one of my biggest mentors was Michael Ellis, and I learned about him through Ed Frawley, who owns Learburg.
Yeah.
Okay,
The-
and then I'm sorry.
the OGs, the original guys, like they've been around for years, and
For years, man, old school dudes, right? So, but we were about the same age, so I really resonated with these guys, and they really started my path on balanced training. And I've tried it all. I've tried, basic like force training when I was in the army, and we'll call yank and crank with the prong collar.
Yeah.
Yep, all the way up to like, I was like, wow, this is really rough on the dogs, and people were getting bit left and right, and it was just really hard. So I was like, okay, let me check out the other side of the world, because that's what it felt like, which was purely positive. But for the dogs that I was working with, that didn't work. And their philosophy and their, and not to get political about this, but their motivation behind the purely positive movement didn't resonate with me as well. So like, well, they both have something to offer. What if I just take the best of both and make my own style out of it? And other guys like Forrest Mickey, Tyler Muto, Bart Bellum, and I met Sean O'Shea from The Good Dog. He was a big inspiration as far as business goes. Jeff Gelman. But then I really started studying people like for behavior things, Tony Robbins, all the way to like Friedrich Nietzsche, stuff like that, like philosophers, just to get kind of a balance of how I want to live my life and then project that onto my clients and the dogs and how to live harmoniously together. Because I feel like, we're all sentient beings and we all pretty much need the same things, whether it's a dog or a human, because there's a real sacred bond between the two. And you got to figure that out if you really want to develop a dog, I believe.
I love that. That is a parallel to my vision, to my consciousness too, man. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's really taken me far. If I just studied dog trainers,
Yeah, no, you'd be limited.
I wouldn't be where I am, especially for the business end of things or the way that I treat my clients. I mean, I have clients that even though their dogs are trained, we're the only ones they trust to take care of their dogs. So
You bored after for your clients?
just for clients, yeah.
Me too. You too. Yeah, if you follow Tony Robbins and just that as like self-development, making you a better person. I mean, all the stuff he preaches is like it's good quality stuff.
Oh, such an important part. Personal development. It made me a better dog trainer.
Cool. Guys hear that? You guys need to be getting into self-development books. You need to read. You need to educate yourself. If you don't like to read, you could do audiobooks. You can do it while you're driving, listening to Tony Robbins, those type of things. I still do it, man. I do it because, not it's not always that we have intrinsic motivation all the time. Sometimes you need to listen to some of those guys to re-spark, or, when you start to feel burned out. Because when I'm chasing, the $100,000 months, or if I start to dip below $100,000 a month, like that, like you said, that starts to affect me. And I need to, avoid burnout, because even though the systems and processes and things that I have in place are duplicatable for what I bring in, like it's still a grind. I mean, I work freaking easily 16 hours a day, and considered I consider even the personal development stuff, reading and doing that, that's me working on myself, and I'm working.
Mm.
You know,
But you love it, right?
no, I mean, I would be like that crazy Malinois, a freaking, that's kept in a kennel all day if I didn't, you know, I gotta have,
Right.
I gotta have that.
Yeah. And then, so, you know, surrounding yourself with like-minded people is super important, like your group. Okay. I mean, being a part of a mastermind like that is critical, because who else are you going to talk to? No one understands you.
Well, you just put it out there and then other dog trainers shit on you. So that's the nature of the industry, but not in the seven-figure dog trainer syndicate, man. We want to help each other and be better. Was that all for the inspiration? Did you have anything else that inspires you?
Yeah, you know, the people that I work with inspire me. I always tell them that I'm not their boss, because I hate being thought of as a boss. Bosses dictate, like, you do this and you do that. I want to lead my people. And I had a drill sergeant in basic training that really taught me a lot about that. You know, he was tough, man. And I was in the Army back when they could lay their hands on you. So
Wall-to-wall counseling.
say again.
We called it wall-to-wall counseling.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
beat the shit out of you.
Exactly. But for some reason, he and I connected, and he used to pull me aside and talk to me. And I just, you know, back then when you're basically, you know, nothing, you know, for someone at his level to pull you aside and be like, hey, let me teach you something, that meant a lot. I mean, it was friggin' huge. And his lessons stick with me to this day. I mean, something as simple, like the first thing he told me was, he goes, I don't care if you're sweeping floors or cleaning toilets, you better be the best fucking floor sweeper and toilet cleaner around. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what I did.
That's one of the big things I've talked about on other podcasts, is being the hardest worker in the room. You may not be the smartest, most intelligent, but if every day you wake up and grind and you're the hardest worker and you're doing self-development and you're consuming and you're trying, and then you do that duplicatable day in, day out, you'll be a top performer.
Oh, you're already at the top if you do that.
You're already at top, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, something else he told me was just, oh man, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Okay. We'll talk about some challenges, because you started in a truck and you've built this business, and it's not easy. I mean, people may look at it when they see the end product and be like, he's got everything. That's what they do with me. But you don't know the journey, and you don't know the challenges that I faced. So I'd love to hear your challenges, from where you started to where you're at now. Maybe these challenges you still got.
Yeah, I mean, I think where I live is particularly challenging. Living here in California, the business regulations are stifling, to say the least.
Very liberal.
Very liberal, but yet incredibly controlling. And, you know, so I live by the motto of, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than for permission.
Yeah, you kind of got to be one of those rebels to get shit done, right?
Yeah, you really do. And I'd much rather deal with the consequences of something than not doing it at all.
Yeah, because I know you're in it for the dogs, and it's what you need to do to get the product or the solution.
Yeah, man. And I, you know, especially here, well, not so much where I live, but just north of here in San Francisco and just south. I'm like right between LA and San Francisco. You know, they are so just pro positive, and you know, it makes things really difficult here in California, because they're trying to pass laws here in this state against using e-collars and prong collars.
Yep.
And you know, the people that are really pushing for it don't really understand the tool. I've listened to the debates, and they just they have the same friggin' argument, and it's such a ridiculous argument that, you know, I'm not going to get into it. But I mean, what they do is they try to turn people's points of views solely on their own. They don't share the other side of things. And I'd like to see them work with some of the dogs that you and I work with and have success.
That's what every trainer that I've interviewed and we get into those topics wants to see. Everybody wants to see it because we're all students. We're all forever learning our craft and developing and growing, even if you've been doing it for 30 years. But the thing is, we all want to see it done because if we can see it done, then we'll start instituting and operating on the proof is in getting it done, right?
Oh, the proof is in that, and the proof is in the clients that come to me who say they've gone that road and have gotten no success.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know.
That's a huge challenge for you because like, when they pass that ban, are they gonna make it a felony for us to use it?
Gonna be criminal.
Criminal.
It's gonna be abuse. Animal abuse. That's what she's pushed this woman up in San Francisco who owns a website. She's not even a dog trainer. She owns a website that where it's like a rover type of website.
Yeah.
Okay. So she just feels that the use of these tools is cruel. And if she spent a day with me and I showed her what we do with them and how we use them and how we explain them to our clients, I really believe she would see otherwise. But people just get so hell bent on on their mission or the way that they think. They're not open-minded enough to see all the dogs that we save with these tools, the relationships we save, the dogs we keep out of shelters.
Yeah.
That's my mission. I don't want dogs to go to shelters.
No.
Shelter system's horrible. It's broken.
Yeah, I think, by more collaboration in these talks that I have with other similar trainers, putting the content out there with the ability that I have to spread media and stuff, it's going to help educate the people, when they watch our podcast and they see all this stuff, they learn and look into it. But the thing is that side, not that I'm like disagreeing with anything, but they have money and they're lobbying and they're pushing, and the other side needs to do exactly the same and stand up for it because it's going to be taken away. And that's one of the things we talk about towards the end of the podcast is what you see the industry moving towards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see it, man. I see the same thing that you are of those challenges. Now, Texas is cool right now. Texas doesn't do it, but there's more liberal based places that are pushing those laws, like a nearby city, League City, they banned choke chains. Like, just like a Hermspringer choke chain is banned.
Yeah.
I think that's just mind boggling to me.
They also ban pit bulls.
Probably so.
Yeah. So ban a breed, right?
Yeah, ban a breed. It's just it's insane, man. But are those the only challenges? Did you have any challenges business wise?
Yeah, I have plenty of business challenges.
Yeah.
I think one of my biggest challenges early on was managing employees. Coming from a military background, I tried to manage it like a platoon or a section. I was in a section, so that didn't fly. Okay, so I had to learn and adjust my attitude, number one, and my way of handling problems as they came up, to be way more diplomatic and really learn how to explain things. And one person that really helped me do that, because she's so good at it with me, is my fiance. Okay, so she knows how to talk me off a ledge. So I use some of her tactics. She's a nurse.
That's one thing I did the same, on my government contract that I did. I learned a lot of lessons, like adults don't like to be told what to do and how to do it. And the civilian world is different than the military world. And you can't walk around like Napoleon, because soon you realize that people will turn against you. They'll do everything they can to hurt you. But at the same time, it's a balancing act, man, because if they feel like they can take advantage of you, they will too. If you seem like a pushover, too nice, you're
I mean,
too.
I definitely call people out on their shit. I don't let any of that go, but I do it now in a way where, like, I ask them a lot of questions. You have to ask questions. You can't be accusatory. You have to ask questions like, hey, I noticed you did this. Tell me why.
Yep.
And that leads to getting into the subject and be like, okay, what were you thinking when you did that? Don't you think?
Self-reflection too. It
Yeah.
causes them to self-reflect, and then they're like, oh, I fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, if you put it back and put the ball back in their court, let them know, hey, I saw that, right?
Mhm.
I'm not going to blow it off. I always start, like, once I see something start, I always like address it then and there, so they know, oh, he's watching, right? I might not be out there with them training dogs all the time, but I hear everything. My office is right outside the training room, so I hear everything that goes on. I always pop my head in, see what they're doing. We check in every morning. I'll tell you, one of the best things I ever do is I have a meeting with my trainers every morning.
Yeah.
Every morning, just to kind of get the day squared away and what we have planned with each dog for the day. That was.
You ever miss it?
Say again?
You ever miss any of those meetings? Like you get
Occasionally, but my manager will run them.
Yeah, but if you don't do it, what's the repercussion?
It's a cluster. Yeah, the day's a cluster. Nobody knows which direction to go, and
Yeah.
Where do we start? And
Yeah.
we write it all down on a big whiteboard,
Yeah.
so it's right there for them. And yeah, I mean, it's good.
That's awesome, brother. I love to hear that. So I consider you in all regards to be very successful. Success is built on much more than just a financial achievement, for sure. What have been some of your proudest accomplishments and most successful moments?
Well, we win Best of Santa Barbara every year, and we've gotten it, I think, 8 years in a row now.
What is
So-
Best of Santa Barbara?
I'm sorry, say again.
What is Best of Santa Barbara?
Best of Santa Barbara is there's a newspaper here called The Independent, and everyone reads it because it's the source for like everything that's going on in town. And every year they post a best of issue for all of the local businesses that are the best in their what they do. And there's a lot of dog trainers here, and there's a lot more coming. I mean, every day I learn of somebody new. And we win consistently every year, and you're voted on by the town.
Yeah, that's a good success. I mean, if you're dominating that year after year, you're doing something right. Right?
I think so.
How is it voted on?
It's an online ballot, so they have all the categories. So they'll have like, best beer hall, best pizza, best hamburger, for restaurants.
By the
And
public?
us, they have a category called Little Creatures. So there's everything from like dog training to daycare for your kids.
Oh, cool.
So under that category, you vote to be nominated first, and then they vote on all the finalists
And you're winning every year.
every year for 8 years in a row.
It's awesome. Congratulations, man.
Thanks.
I'm sure you've got other successes with some dogs that you've turned around.
There are those are the biggest successes, right? What I love to see always is like when families come in, and I have an evaluation room. It's actually my office, but it's set up like there's a couch, some chair. It's really nice. And I make people feel comfortable so they can open up. And I think one of the biggest things is that families come in and they're at odds with each other about the dog, and they're actually fighting, and it's horrible. It's so unnecessary.
It's a therapy session almost.
Yeah, man. That's why I have a couch. And I always keep a box of tissues next to the couch because people cry.
Yeah.
Dogs are as important to some people as their children are. And when they're not having success with their dog, it's super emotional and can be draining. So the fact that we can bring them some peace and bring them some conclusions to their problems is incredibly satisfying for me, and probably one of the major reasons I'm in this business.
Awesome. So what's contributing to all your success?
Well, number one is my staff and our training philosophy, and our business philosophy. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be number one. And giving back to the community is super important, because that's where you really get recognized. We do a weekly pack walk where we meet in a different location every Saturday morning. And I always have at least 30 people and their dogs there. And we do a big walk. You can't miss us. It's a big line of dogs and people, and we're all training together and walking in peace together. And it's amazing.
In a public park or something?
Nope, down the city street.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's probably a gem right there for anybody that's watching. You know, you just dropped a knowledge bomb. I don't know.
If anybody wants to learn how to do it, I'm happy to share what I do.
Yeah, that's incredible, man.
Reach out.
So what specific knowledge or skills or insight do you bring to this industry or field?
Oh, wow, that's a good question.
You've been here a while. I mean, go over, tell the world what you've been bringing. I know you're a full faceted trainer. You use all sorts of different tools, equipment, philosophies, right? You can expand on that.
Yeah, I would say the best advice I could give anybody who's just starting out, or what you should be bringing to the world as a trainer is your knowledge, and constantly growing your knowledge base, learning from other trainers, learning from your staff. I learn from them all the time. I give them enough freedom to kind of develop their own style and their own way of doing things under our guidelines. So they're always coming up with new stuff, new ways to do things.
Yeah.
I had a trainer who worked for me. He had 20 years of experience from the same background, was a trainer in the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
But he was so myopic in his vision, like he had blinders on and continuously trained really old school ways. And I said to him, man, you got to adapt. You got to pick this up. He couldn't do it. He doesn't work here anymore.
Wow.
He's a great trainer. Yeah. But a lot of my clients couldn't do what he did. Yeah,
I like to touch on that. So like, just because you have some sort of formalized education doesn't mean you're not a closed off mental individual. Like sometimes I've seen people that are just so closed-minded to new ways of doing things, and they're so stuck in their philosophies, or they think that it's the one and only way. And they fall short, and you have to stay open-minded. But the thing is too is, if he was a working dog handler or trainer from years ago, the Department of Defense program has greatly changed in the last, I think, 5 or 10 years at Lackland, with a lot more clear signals based style training, and then moving more, or not more, but totally in a real balanced direction, where compulsion or corrections are actually like your last option, where there's so many other ways to train without conflict, or a better communicative way to the animal. So it's just like, it's the military's improved over time periods, but if those guys went through 20 years ago, I mean, they had shit hammered in their head that it had to be that way.
Oh man, if I could tell you how many dogs I probably screwed up in the beginning, training that way, I'm embarrassed, honestly, thinking back to it now.
You're a really humble guy, because you bring up the mistakes that you've made in the past, and the same with me. Like it's a humbling journey to try to become a great trainer. And just because you're a great trainer doesn't mean you're going to have a great business.
Absolutely. I mean, I tell people all the time that this isn't a dog business. It's a people business. And I have people come here who want to work, and I ask them, why do you want to be a dog trainer? Oh, because I don't like working with people. Like, there's the door. You're not going to succeed.
Yeah.
You can't think that way.
Can give you a kennel tech job.
Yeah, if you want to clean kennels or clean my floors or whatever, you can do that, but you're not working with my dogs.
Yeah,
So, I mean, this is such a people business. If you don't know the nuances of being able to like get people to learn a skill that doesn't come naturally to them, you're not going to succeed.
without a doubt.
No question.
Yeah,
Totally
absolutely.
convinced.
So you touched on the advice. Normally I get into that, but really just you said like educate yourself, become knowing as much as you can.
Yeah.
What would you do? What type of advice would you give on the business side for guys that are struggling in their companies? Besides get a CPA,
Oh.
like that.
Well, I think one of the best things that I did was, I was never really good with money. If I needed something, I just bought it, and I worried about the costs later. But I really, and this is something that my accountant actually made me do. He goes, you got to put aside 10% of your income, like automatically. Okay. And then you use that, of that 10%, you then separate that into three categories. So you have to have that money aside for a rainy day fund in case shit hits the fan and you don't have any business for a month. You got to put that money aside so that, if you do want to grow, you can use that money and you don't have to borrow money. Okay. And I really don't like to go into debt. My business is debt free for the most part. I mean, I have a van payment and I have a lease payment on my, my rent payment here in my building.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I pay my credit cards off every month. I make sure I do that. That money that I put aside every single month at the end of the month, that 10%,
Mhm.
it's been growing. So now I'm looking at buying this building, and just from that money, I'll have enough to put a down payment on this building. And this is like a $2.5 million building.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That'll be a really good position move, to own that.
Oh, that's my retirement right there.
Yeah. Security right there, man.
Yeah. So you got to put some money aside. That was a big learning process for me, because I was like, okay, I got it. We need this. Let's get that. We need that. Let's get that. That would be nice. Let's do that. So I was spending a lot of money on stuff like that, and then I'd use it for a week, and then it would end up in storage. But one of the things that I do have no problem spending money on is I invest in my people. I bring other trainers in to teach us because I want them to see other perspectives. I brought Jeff Gelman in here a few months back to teach how to do e-collar training, even though we're all e-collar professionals and we've been e-collar trained by, they all have their own training methods, but they've been trained by some of the best. I wanted them to see another perspective.
I love it. Yeah. It's always chasing that growth, man. I love that.
Yeah. And it's important, again, that they see how other people do stuff. And some of them won't go on their own and seek it out. So I bring it to them, and they love it. I mean, it's such a morale booster.
That's what I was going to ask, is how is it received when you bring someone in when they think that they're great at it?
Oh my God. Well, at first, yeah, that's a good point. At first they're like, oh, we don't need that. We want to, let's use the money for this. I'm like, no, trust me. Because I don't just bring anybody in, I seek people out who are incredibly good at what they do or face challenges and have overcome them. I don't know if you know Jeff, but he's been really ostracized by the dog training community, and he's an amazing guy, and he really knows his stuff. I mean, he can be a little biting on some people, but that's just who he is. But I respect him for it because he's a straight shooter.
I don't want to get into it, but why is he ostracized? Because of his
I don't know the real details about it, but I think, it goes back to, like, he put some stuff out on YouTube that the other side of the dog training world latched onto, and they really publicized it and try to make an example of him. And then even people on our side of the industry they didn't like the publicity he was getting, so they went against him, and it was totally unjust.
Isn't that crazy how it just turns into like a shark and piranha frenzy just to attack somebody?
Yeah.
That's
It's not fair.
yeah.
And he's saved probably tens of thousands of dogs from being euthanized.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, people's talks and their opinions and what they're saying online really doesn't matter. I mean, unless it gets to the point that somehow they made it so that the vast majority of the public won't come to you or your business, what they have to say really doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't, but when they keep pumping it out there and they really try to make an example of you, to bend towards their way of thinking, other people, it does matter because other people believe it.
Will that prevent you from getting clients?
It almost shut his business down.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, and he's been in business for 20 something years.
That's insane. So
Yeah.
Wow.
And he had death threats against him from people. His kids were threatened. I mean, it was brutal.
Death threats?
Yeah. Started carrying a gun because I mean, it's just crazy. FBI got involved.
So does that make people, I guess that would make people afraid to try to stand for anything publicly?
I think it does when they see someone get,
Destroy their life.
browbeaten like that. Yeah.
Man, I guess that's off topic, but how would you defend against that?
I think me personally, the way that I would deal with it is I would probably get myself off the radar for a while because, as you know, like if you're out of sight, you're out of mind these days, right? And wait for things to cool down and then come back.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, man, I've seen people body slam dogs, flip them over their head on video, disappear for a while and open up another LLC. I don't even know how the fuck that's possible. You know?
I don't know. The stuff that's online is online forever. Eventually it's going to come back up, right?
Yeah, it has to, I would think.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I mean, here where I live, the Humane Society has gone and asked people, they told people, you need to use a trainer with this dog. And then they said, who are you going to use? And if they mention us, the Humane Society says that they won't give them the dog if they use us. The Humane Society.
your company's gonna save that dog, you would say, or if it had severe dog on dog aggression.
Yeah.
It should go to you.
The only reason they don't want us to be out here is because of our training methods. And we're very humane with our tools.
Yeah, it's just the political ideologies. You say you didn't want to make it political, but I'll go there because, and normally I don't, but there seems to be a correlation between politics and training styles that I'm seeing. In a generalizing terms, I'm seeing people of this political and that political being more towards each, which means something off topic is causing two people to hate each other.
And hate is such a strong word, but it's a word that's really pervasive in this industry between dog trainers. I mean, it's sad.
Hopefully we can come together and we can do some sort of entity or something gets created. I haven't had a lot of time to dedicate it to it, but about a year ago, I built a website, created a nonprofit called the World Association of Balanced Trainers. So eventually in the future, when I can have more time to dedicate it, or I can find other awesome business owners or ambassadors to help with that, then I'd love to assemble true balance trainers, not just people that are, e-collar compulsion based solely, but like a true balance trainer that'll do food-based imprinting, that'll then switch over to, the dog's prey drive with a ball of toy, and then utilize an e-collar for recall conditioning as true balance, right? Have us come together so that we can lobby and have some sort of entity or even regulation in place for the industry, because it's unregulated. That's probably part of our problems.
It is.
But I'm not government regulation on my own political beliefs. So
if we don't, yeah, exactly. I mean, if we don't do it, then someone outside of us will do it, like this lady up in San Francisco.
I'm
So
thinking- I'm thinking everything's against the dogs, man, and I want to save dogs too.
that's why we're here, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So, you said you're gonna buy that building. You got any other current projects?
I have an old Corvette I'm restoring.
Or that guy too. I've got a C5
Oh, nice.
and I had a C7, but I sold it.
You like the C8s?
I do. I do like the C8s, but if I am gonna get one, I want a Z06, but you can't touch them.
Yeah, they're
And if you do find them, they're grossly overpriced.
twice the price that you could buy one from a lot.
Yeah, and then they're gonna come out with like the Zorro and this other one. It's gonna be nuts.
I go back to my childhood with cars like that. I have a 65 that I'm restoring.
That's a C3.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm a Corvette guy too. I love my C5 and I want to put a Pro Charger in it. That's my
Nice.
next thing to do. Right now I've got like long tube headers on it, Corsa exhaust and tune, and it's fast. It's not as fast as my C7 Z06, but it's freaking fast. It's dangerous for sure.
Yeah, they're fun cars.
Yeah. So do you have any, like looking back on your journey, is there any particular lessons or principles that you wish you had known earlier? Or what advice would you give to your younger self if you had a chance?
Wow, that's a pretty broad topic.
Do your best. It's like a two-part. So like say, looking back on your journey, what particular lesson or principle would you wish you known earlier?
I think in the very, very beginning, I wish I knew more about being a balanced trainer. Back then, the term didn't even exist. You know, you were either all positive or you were force-based. But I realized I really saw that way of training develop over the time, and I'm glad I got in this industry when I did, because I think if I had known about that and I was open-minded enough to embrace that philosophy, I would have been way further ahead in my training ability sooner than I was when I was really struggling. I'm like, okay, I can't make success with this dog. I guess the only option is to force it to do this, you know, and then just.
You know, I've had like 5 other people tell me that exact answer.
Really?
Yeah, everybody's feeling the same way. They wish they had known about it earlier, studied it in more in depth, or had a better full understanding of it, because there was a lot of people that I've interviewed too that were just all purely positive before, and they switched over based on just diving into the education and the books and the science and understanding how dogs communicate with one another, like on a dog level. You know, they've got their nonverbals, they've got their body language, and then they have violence towards each other. They'll correct each other with their teeth, right? And I talk to my clients too, like ethically and morally, it's not our duty to physically correct a dog the same way they correct each other, but we have tools and things that can correct in the same fashion that they understand from a developmental evolutionary time perspective.
Exactly. And you have to learn that.
Yeah.
And then you have to actually like do it to see the results. And I think so many people are afraid to, like this guy who worked for me, he was just, he's like, this works. And I know this works because I've been doing it for 20 years. Well, yeah, but it's not working with the clients now. It works with the dog to a degree. Like you can only get a dog, like some of the dogs that we work with, they're not working dogs, you know, they shut down if they're pushed too hard.
Yeah. I can take a nail into a block of wood and take a monkey wrench and say that this monkey wrench is the right tool to pound the nail in because it works.
Right. Exactly. It's a great analogy. But it's
Exactly.
not. Use a freaking hammer.
Exactly. It works, but that's not the tool.
Right. Exactly.
Debatable if it even works well.
Well, you know, it's just, I guess it's why I study human psychology so much. there's a strong correlation between base human psychology and dog training. You know, you got to learn about classical conditioning. You got to learn about operant conditioning. There's no way around it. When I bring those words up to some dog trainers, they're like, "Oh, what's that?" Like, you don't know what that is. Before you touch another dog, you have to learn the principles of those two things.
Yeah.
You know,
Four square contingency and Dr. Ivan Pavlo. You don't know
you
about
got to
it.
learn that stuff.
You don't know about it, you're doing yourself harm. And if you bring those up in the arguments with, I guess, force free and stuff, it just gets ugly.
Oh my God, don't even go there.
It turns emotional, but I would say my lessons are similar too, man. Like, but the good thing is that I went through the military at the right time period where the education was teaching us all of those technical terms. The thing is that not all military trainers that come from Lackland's program got into the regulations and got into the books and memorized and learned about, you know, classical conditioning, operant conditioning, Pavlovian theory. It's all in the books. Everything is in these CDCs that we have, these career development courses, and then it's in the Air Force regulations. And it is so, there's so much knowledge in these books. And that's what catapulted towards my success of building the program for the contract, is that the Air Force has all of this stuff in it, but not every dude is a scholar and wants to learn it. And then they go through their whole careers just taking what some sergeant tells them to do, which was pound that dog to get a response, call a correction, hammer them over and over, creating, like red tag handler aggressive dogs, reactive dogs, dogs that are trying to, like, out of PTSD, do a response before you can give a correction. But my point is that they're not studying and knowing the technical side of things, and just because they went through the program doesn't mean that they were a scholar in the books.
No, not at all. I mean, most of the stuff that I've learned, because I didn't go to Lackland to learn how to train dogs. I learned through the unit that I was in, from the handlers that came in on the weekends.
Yeah.
Through the National Guard unit. And basically my first exposure was, oh, you want to come and help us train these dogs? Like, sure, I'll do it. I got nothing else to do right now. They threw me a bite suit and they're like, here, put this on. Go out. That was my introduction to
That's a christening.
Yeah, it was my initiation, right? And then like, hey, you're all right, you can take it. And then they started showing me stuff. So I don't really have like formal education in dog training. Everything that I know is either self-learned, taught, or I was mentored by somebody else who was doing it.
I think if it's delivered right and the knowledge is consumed, the right knowledge is consumed, all the information is out there. Anybody can be self-taught and be great. Yeah. Because the knowledge is there. But the problem is deciphering amongst a huge pile of bullshit and what the real knowledge is too. Like, maybe you got lucky by having the right mentors, or you're just a smart enough individual that you could see what works and what doesn't work through a lot of dogs, right?
Well, you need patience, because if you probably know, if something isn't working, then you have to try something else. A lot of people won't do that. Like my employee before, if something didn't work, he would just do the same thing, but harder. And I was like,
insanity. It's where you do the same thing over and over and don't get a result.
Exactly.
It's insanity.
Exactly. And then it started to border on cruelty, and I was like, no more of this. Yeah. You either perform or you're out. And you're like, but I know I do it this way. I'm like, sorry, man. Ego, yeah. You got to put that aside.
Yeah. On my building, on my training building, there's a big sign that's like, it's like this big. And it says, leave your ego at the door. So everybody sees it before they walk into the training building, because there's the 30 egos in there. And there should be also, I should have another one that's like emotions. Training dogs should be virtually emotionless. Shouldn't be getting mad.
No, I always tell my clients, you need to learn how to be emotionally neutral.
Yep.
Okay, because otherwise, if you get angry, your dog's going to get excited. And we're trying to get them to stop being overly stimulated. So stop stimulating your dog, because most people come in here every day and they're like, I just want a coffee shop dog. I'm like, what's a coffee shop dog? Some dog that I can take to the coffee shop, hang out with my friends, have them be at my feet. Dogs walk by, they don't react. I'm like, well, you can get that. You need to teach impulse control. Oh, well, what's impulse control? And then we go down this rabbit hole of like,
Yeah.
train, right? So, I mean, it all starts with you, and that's why, as the dog owner, that's why you need to learn how to deal with people first and foremost. You could be a great dog trainer, but if you're not good at teaching the people what to do, you'll have no success because they won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That, I think naturally I have an ability to speak with people. So that's benefited me. And then being able to give analogies that people understand. And I took time to actually study how to be a good teacher, like what you would need to be a teacher for kids. It's the same thing. You need to learn how to teach because, understanding how to train a dog. Well, we know that training is broken down from teaching, training, and proofing, but knowing how to work with an animal versus sit down with a human being and, like you said, get them to understand a skill that they're not natural at, you need to learn how to become a human teacher.
Number one.
Yeah, I agree, man. I so agree. So I forgot what I was going to say. We'll edit that out. But within the future of dog training, we talked about AI, using AI a lot. You don't think it's going to really hinder our jobs? It's just going to make us better at it. One thing I've noticed with AI is AI has been programmed on the force-free side. The AI answer that's coming out is not correct with if you try to have it right, like your dog training philosophies or like directions to train a dog, AI spits out what it was programmed for, which is actually force-free and purely positive.
Well, I've found out a way to kind of circumvent that, and it's all in how you put your prompt in. You have to be really specific about what you are asking for.
Yeah, the prompts are everything.
Prompts are everything. So sometimes my prompts are like sentences.
How'd you learn this?
I was at a Tony Robbins seminar, and he introduced, this is right when AI was just starting to kind of pick up, and he brought out some people that are writing the code for this stuff, and they're like, you better learn this no matter what industry you're in, and you better learn how to use it in your industry. It may not replace some of you, but it will replace some of you, but not all of you. But if you don't learn how to use it, or you refuse to use it, you will fail it no matter what you do in the future. That's just the way it's going. So I was like, okay, how can I use this? Well, first I started using it to just basically write some web copy for me. And then I edited it. I took what they gave me and then I put in my own touch because I wanted it to sound like it was from my voice. And then I just started watching people on YouTube, how they use it.
Yeah.
And there's a guy, I can't remember his name. He's out of San Diego, but he's killing it in the marketing end of things. And he teaches other marketers, because marketing is I think one of the industries that's going to be mostly affected by it, especially online marketing, because basically this thing can do everything that anyone can do and do it better.
It's getting better. Yeah, I was going to say.
Getting better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he really turned me on to the whole idea of like how to write prompts.
Yeah.
You know,
that's one of our biggest things in the 7-Figure Dog Trainer Syndicate is the business side of things, of marketing, Facebook advertising, ads, LinkedIn strategies, things that people aren't using to generate traffic, and the copywriting of your ads. And there's just so much that goes into it, but AI is a huge player to help supercharge what you're doing, but you can't rely on it yet. It's not to the ability though that it's like does everything for us.
well, I'll tell your viewers out there, man, if you know of someone who's done it and has been successful at doing it, don't rewrite the book. Use them as a mentor to, like yourself, use Shane as a mentor to learn from. And you're so open to sharing everything that you've done. You're basically giving them the formula.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not, you didn't ask me to promote you at all.
No.
And, I'm telling them, if you've got the formula and it works, there's no reason to try to come up with it on your own. You could add your own spin to it. You have to have your own voice because people see right through that bullshit. But, if you've got the formula to make things work, then use it. And I'm not a member of your group, but I'm really considering it because one of the weaknesses I have is this online marketing thing with Instagram, Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn, but I never use it.
Yeah.
I'm too busy with everything else, but where I want to go personally in my own business, I need to start embracing a lot more of that.
Yeah, you've got to understand, like, your position and my position is to fully understand what's good, not fully understand, but understand what's going on and then outsource the ability. Because like, if you outsource your Facebook ad strategy to somebody, to a marketing agency, but you don't know what your click-through rate is, you don't know these data-driven metrics that you should be looking at, these people will steal your money. So like, the big thing that we do is we teach these dog trainers to know their numbers, to know their metrics, so that when they're building their landing page, is it converting at the right level? Is your Facebook ad creative, delivering the right amount of clicks and all of the different metrics that come along with it. But if I didn't know what to look at in the spreadsheet of how it's performing, then people will just steal your money. And there's all these guys out here that are like Facebook ad gurus and stuff. And what they do is they're delivering a product to a person that doesn't understand the ads, because Facebook advertising has become incredibly complicated. Like they have made it so difficult. But when you know how to do these things, or you run the right offers to the people, and your targeting is on, and then your actual sales funnel is delivering the correct numbers of what your goal is, then all you have to do is, like, every couple of weeks replace that ad with a new creative. And then the other thing is sometimes we have, for businesses, like 50 to 70 different ad creatives running in between each other, where it's doing a testing phase. And then if you don't know your numbers of how they're performing, how can you pick the one that's going to be your cash cow?
Right.
So there's a lot of shit that goes into this, but my point is that knowing just enough, which is what you get in the syndicate, and then outsourcing it. And that's what somebody at your tier, like the 7-figure level, is. We do it for you. But I'd say 90% of people aren't as successful as you are thus far, and they're not at that high tier level yet. A lot of these guys are just pounding, grinding out of their homes, 5 dogs at a time, traveling to people the same way you started.
Man, if you told me 5 years ago that I'd be doing, $1.5 million a year training dogs, I'd be like, what are you smoking, man? Because there's no way. The vape, yeah. How would I do that? But it happened. And it's interesting, like, if you run your business the right way, if you have ethics and morals, and you really have the best interest of your client at heart, your business will grow organically. That's exactly what mine did. I think when COVID happened, that was the breaking point for a lot of companies, not just in our industry, but in a lot of industries. And the businesses that were worth anything are the ones that actually made it. I had clients, my business dropped considerably, like almost like more than half. I had clients that did not want me to go out of business. They gave me money, not lent me money. They gave me money.
Wow, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I had 3 clients. One client gave me $26,000 check. She goes, I want you to take this. I said, I can't pay you back. I don't know what's going to happen. She goes, it's not a loan. I said, what are you talking about? She goes, I love what you do. I love what you've done for me. And I feel it's the least that I could do. I'm getting all choked up just talking about it. It's the least I could do is help you, because you're helping so many people. And that was like a turning point for me, man. It's like, because I never really thought that, geez, does what I do have value? I know it helps dogs and it helps people, but does it have real value? But for someone to give me, I guess I put a number on it, the $26,000 number, right? That check was like,
I can't comprehend it, dude. That's nuts.
it was insane. And then right after that, someone else gave me money. I think someone gave me like $10,000, and then someone gave me like $5,000. And but
Why? Well, you weren't asking for it, right?
I did not. No, man. I asked no one for anything. I didn't even want to take. At first, the first time she gave me the check, I gave it back to her. I'm like, I can't take this. There's no way. There's no way. And she's like, sure. It's like, yeah, no, I can't. And then a couple of weeks went by, and she called me. We're friendly. So she's like, how are things going? I'm like, whoa, it's getting a little tougher out here. A buddy of mine just closed down. She's like, you got to take this money. It's like, I just didn't feel right about doing it. I said, all right, I'll take it, but you have free dog training for life. And I felt like I needed to give her something back.
Yeah. That's how
You
you
know,
feel.
it just,
I've never heard that, man. And I think you, what was I going to say? Basically, if you weren't doing a good job for people, that would never happen to you.
no, sorry. Get a little teary. It was so touching, and then to have two other people do it right after that. And I swear on my life, swear on my mother's life, I did not ask them for a thing.
Wow. Maybe, Canine Solutions is just supposed to be here. It's divine intervention, brother.
So are you. We're all supposed to be here. Look at how many people you help with their business, with their dogs, with everything.
And I'm still hated by some. By a
Well,
lot. Like I said, I don't care, because I'm still delivering to clients, people, and other trainers now. Now I'm invested in helping other people.
you can care for a minute and then move on. Because if you care, if you worry about it too much, it's just going to consume you. And I learned a long time ago other lessons, but along that same line, that like what other people think of you is theirs. It's not yours. They own it, not you.
You don't got to worry about it. One of the big things that we teach on our Tuesday coaching calls is this mental state that we call the infinite game. You need to play the infinite game in your business. You need to be doing things that are on a bigger picture than just transaction after transaction. It needs to be, like, what are you doing? Because there's a difference between like a company that just pops up, and then there's a company like, say, Ford Motor Company, right? Like they played the infinite game to be around forever. That's something I'm always thinking about. So it's like the podcast interviews that we're doing, the content that I put out on my training page, is playing a big picture game. Because if you aim small, miss small, but I don't know if that's the best analogy, but I'm always focused on the bigger picture of things, and that's creating a sustainable business that's going to be around to help dogs and people. And in the beginning, like you, I was focused on the dogs, but then I soon realized this is 100% a human education thing and human relationships. And like some of my clients have become my best friends in my life.
You nailed it, man. I mean, I have so many friends that were clients and have become best friends. Yeah. My whole social circle here, man.
Yeah, I love my people. You think that if you were in California, you would be more profitable? Do you think that the ideologies and stuff in California work against you, and you would have a bigger, more successful business in say Texas or Arizona or something like that? That's high, it's just imaginative.
That's a good question. I don't know, because I haven't lived in any of those places. I think in order to do what I do, I need to be in a metropolitan area, like near a city.
You're between two.
I am between two huge ones.
You got people coming in both, right, to you?
Yeah. I have people who send me dogs from New York. Like, if you're a trainer in New York, come on. Like,
Is Is that your furthest dog? Is from one coast to the other, sit, and then what they do, fly it or drive it?
No, I had a dog from Spain come in.
Wow.
The owner flew in with the dog and they're like, well, we're just gonna stay in Santa Barbara because it's beautiful here and we're gonna make a month-long vacation out of it and we want to do a 4-week board and train. It's like, but you live in Spain.
Did they fly private? Or
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
yeah. You got any advice on attracting high net worth clients? I think it's just what you do, right?
The advice, the best advice I could give you is treat everyone the same.
The janitor, you treat the janitor the same as the CEO.
Doesn't matter. Hey, look, I have clients who are billionaires here, billionaires. Okay.
Yeah, with a
and
B.
with a B, big capital B.
Big capital.
Yeah, I think they own the rights to the letter B.
Yeah.
And what they all say to me is like, you're the first person that told me no in a long time. I'm like, what do you mean? And I work one-on-one with these people and they're like, no one says no to me. And they all say, you know, it's kind of refreshing because I see like, you're not just trying to, you know, not kiss my ass, but like just trying to yes me. And I treat them the same exact way I treat someone who, you know, could be a janitor or whatever, who's having a problem with their dog. I always look at like, I want to do the best thing for the dog first and the client second. And it's very close between first and second, you know, because the client owns the dog.
Yes, sir.
But they're still having the same problem. So how could you know, if I sugarcoat things and I'm not honest about what they have, and I've gotten very, very good at evaluating dogs. I think people who are in this business, you have to get good at evaluating dogs. And you have to see the dog for what it is. And you have to practice that, you know.
Do you evaluate your clients? Do you pick and choose who you work with? Because I say I definitely do. I don't work with everybody. I dequalify.
Now I do. I used to not. I used to take everybody.
No, I don't.
But you know, now
I teach people don't.
I can't be successful with everyone.
Yes.
And my business relies on my reputation. This is a small town. So and people are much more willing to tell their friends about something bad than they are about something good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't care who you are, you're going to get treated the same. And you're going to get treated fairly and honestly.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Smith, do you have anything for our viewers before we wrap up?
Well done. Sorry, somebody was knocking on my door. Just keep doing what you're doing. If it's working for you, always learn to expand your knowledge, and what you do will get better. It's just, I tell that to my staff every day. Don't just follow what I do. When you see me working a dog, go online, find a trainer you really resonate with and watch what they do. And then don't copy them, but take that style, what the techniques that they're doing, and make it your own. You know, take the best of the positive world, take the best of, you know, balance training, and really bring it together so that you can create your own style and your own voice. Because I think people can really see through it if it's not. And you have to be believable.
Yeah, I fully agree, man. I call it building the tool belt, right? Taking screwdriver, hammer, you know, I keep going back to tools. I guess it's how I was raised. But, you know, I got this tool belt from all these different trainers, books, things I've pulled in the military, and makes you a better master of the craft one day.
Well, the personal development industry, I use stuff that I learned from that all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Psychology courses that I've taken. I use stuff that I learned from that all the time. I have clients that are psychiatrists, and I love working with them because I can kind of talk their language.
Oh yeah.
They get a kick out of it. Like, how'd you learn that?
Yeah, when you start teaching them about negative punishment, positive punishment.
Yeah. and how it applies to dog training, not human training, but dog training.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, it was an absolute pleasure having you on here. I'm so thankful that we went ahead and did today's interview. I look forward to knowing you more in the future. I look forward to you coming and investigating the seven-figure dog trainer syndicate. Should you, we have products and services and things that I guarantee can make you even better than what you have established. You know what I mean? I'm a servant at heart, and I think that from one veteran brother to the other, it was seriously a pleasure having you on my show today. Thank you so much.
well, the pleasure was all mine, and I'm grateful that you, even though you know I'm not a member, that you considered having me on. If you wouldn't mind sending me some information on your products, I'd love to learn more about them.
Absolutely.
Really.
Yeah, I'll have so my business partner Chris is going to get a hold of you after this,
Okay.
and then we'll tag you in all the links and everything that's with this content. So this content, like I said, is going to go on social media, Facebook, YouTube. and
That'd be
whatnot.
fantastic.
We got to send it all out to editing. So
Cool.
all right,
All right.
brother. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Great to meet you.
Yes, sir. Bye.
Take care.